Hello, and welcome to the Schmidt List.
Hello, podcast listeners. Today, I've got a special episode to share with you, and one that I've been thinking about for quite some time. You might be asking yourself, what the heck does a movie have to do with managing projects, building products, or leading people? Since I started working in digital, certain movies have always been referenced, quoted, or even acted out at work. Have you ever quoted a movie when things got weird on a project? Or thought of something you experienced at work while watching a movie? There have been many times where themes, situations, or even conversations in movies have inspired me to become a better leader. So, for a few episodes, I rounded up a few folks in digital to help me unpack the lessons we learned after watching Apollo 13. Just FYI, there's a bit of cursing in this episode. Next week, the Schmidt List continues with the amazing Sarah Engstrom, Director of Productivity and Security for CHS. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned at the end to hear more. And now, on with the show. All right, here we are. We're going to get started. Joining me today is my wife, Emily. Say hi, Emily.
Hello.
And one of our good friends, Lisa.
Hello.
Emily is the Director of UX at Connections Loyalty, and Lisa is an Executive Producer for Carmichael Lynch. And we also have Jason von Schneider. Say hi, Jason.
Hello.
Who is Lisa's husband. So we're going to be talking today about Apollo 13, one of the best movies ever.
On the 13th minute of the 13th hour, the 13th Apollo mission was launched. A million things could have gone wrong.
Our next broadcast will be from the surface of the moon.
On April 13th, one did.
Houston, we have a problem.
We got a wicked shimmy up here.
Houston, we are venting something out into space. It's definitely a gas of some sort.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
It must be the oxygen. You see what I see?
I just want to start us off just a little bit. I'm going to start off with some facts about the movie that we can talk about. So Jack Swigert is one of the pilots, or he is the pilot, right? Or who's the pilot? Is it Tom Hanks?
Aren't
They
all
switch.
pilots?
They're all. They're all.
Well, I mean,
pilots.
technically,
Switch.
they're all pilots, yes.
Tom Hanks gets them off Earth,
Yeah.
and Jack does everything else.
Jack does everything else, right? So, interesting fact is that Val Kilmer turned down that role
Of Jack?
of Jack.
That was a poor choice.
And to do the Ghost in the Darkness.
Oh.
Yep.
Sorry. Armchair quarterbacking that decision.
Yep.
Wow.
And who else turned down that role was Brad Pitt. Turned down that role, and you know what he did instead? Seven.
Oh.
Pretty good call.
Pretty good call.
Yeah.
But here's the one that I find the most interesting is that the person who turned down the Jim Lovell role, the one that Tom Hanks plays, was John Travolta.
This is for the better.
That would be
for
a
us.
completely different movie.
Yeah.
What did he do at the time?
I don't know what he...
Face Off?
No, he might have done a Face Off.
When was Pulp Fiction?
But you know what? No. But you know what? The rest of my terrible research showed up was that he also turned down the role of Forrest Gump too.
John Travolta?
Yep. So Tom Hanks stole two
Wait.
roles from him.
Stole? Or John Travolta turned them down?
Yeah, John
That's
Travolta
different.
turned
And then he capitalized on John Travolta's poor decision
Yeah, he
making.
did capitalize on
Yeah.
it.
Swooped in.
Do we know why all these people turned down the roles? Was it because of the no gravity and the freezing and the water?
I don't know. I think they just made poor decisions. I don't know. That's how it goes. So to earlier conversation we were having, Lisa, so when they were doing a test run of the movie for audiences, one of the comment cards that somebody had left said they hated the movie. And the reason why they said they hated the movie because it had a typical Hollywood ending, and there's no way in real life that the crew would have survived.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Literally.
Oh my god.
Somebody,
Fine.
nobody knew
Fine
this
here.
was like a real event.
So they hated all of it, and then just that bit was like just
Gotta
a
move.
little bit too far.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, the ending, like where the chute's open, was just a little too
Too
far.
convenient.
Also, one of my favorite guys in the movie, Deke, right? Deke Slayton, the guy who is kind of the I don't know.
Is that the mission control guy?
He's one of the mission control guys.
He's the one who they give a paycheck to every month.
Yeah, he actually
yeah.
Yeah.
he's also in Armageddon, which will be another movie that we do in the
Yes.
future.
More space travel.
Yeah. And so the other cool thing was like all the set pieces for Mission Control, that was all custom made for the movie script, because they were originally going to film, because the control room right now is in it's a museum, like so you can go there and visit. But in the movie, that it wasn't really like spaced out enough to like have a film crew and all that in there. So they rebuilt the whole thing in a movie studio, and pieces of that are also used in other movies that you've seen, like the one with the what's the one about the women who do the
Hidden Figures?
Hidden Figures? Yeah, it's like those same set pieces are in Hidden Figures, and like a bunch of other movies too. Like it was just like they kept them going forever. One last piece of trivia that I want to talk about, which is great. Actually, two last things. So this is the first film where Ed Harris is in charge of a mission control room that's trying to rescue astronauts.
I know the rest of this.
What is the other movie where he is he's basically playing the same character?
Yeah, it's the Jim Carrey one with the TV thing.
Oh, that's good, but that's not what I'm
Truman Show.
No, this is
No, it's totally the Truman Show.
No.
It has to be.
No, okay, you're right, but there's another one where he's specifically saving other astronauts.
Oh.
But yes, he does play another guy in a
He's
control room.
basically the same guy.
No, he's
I mean, but
ahead.
evil.
yeah.
Is it the one where he space travels?
Nope.
Time travels?
Nope. It's Gravity.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
He's the mission control guy in Gravity too.
Totally.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Personally,
only saw
I
that
like my
movie one
Truman
time.
Show reference.
Yeah. I know.
I'm going to roll back to Truman Show.
Okay, so
But you're good.
last
Yeah.
piece of trivia, which is also one of my favorite pieces of trivia, because one of my all-time favorite movies, Point Break, has something in common with this movie, and that is because Gary Busey was visiting the set of Apollo 13, and they were trying to think of something to say when the guy was talking about how hungry he was.
Oh, no. That line is really weird.
Yeah. So in the movie Point Break, Gary Busey tells what's his name? Keanu Reeves.
Johnny Utah.
Johnny Utah, yeah. He tells Johnny Utah. He tells him to go and get him 2 meatball sandwiches. There's a place around the corner he loves. Give me 2 meatball sandwiches because he's so hungry he could eat the ass out of a dead rhinoceros. Bill Paxton says the exact same line in this movie.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know how, I don't know. They were filmed not too far apart, but I guess Busey was visiting the set and was like, hey, you should say this when you're hungry. Because Busey.
I could eat the ass out of a dead rhinoceros.
Right?
Because it gets a big reaction.
Exactly. All right, so we're gonna move into the questions side of this, so I can get some of your guys' answers. Okay, so first question is, what is the project of this movie?
I had thoughts about this.
Okay.
I specifically took notes about this one. To me, it feels like there are 3 actually different projects.
Ooh, okay, go.
Okay. I feel like one project is prep for the mission. And that has its own scope change and its own stakeholders and its own objectives. Mm-hmm. And then the second project is the part of the mission that is going okay.
Yes.
So take off through
53 minutes into the movie.
Yes.
I timed it.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like that project had a planned end and it had a planned scope that immediately got kiboshed when Project 3 started, which was the recovery mission or the recovery project, which I feel like recovery projects are super interesting to me, and I feel like they have their own very odd weirdness. But I was thinking about the question, what is this project? And that was the best answer I came up with.
Good.
Yep, there are definitely multiple In fact, the other day I was like, is this an agile situation?
It's very iterative.
It's very iterative.
Yeah. It is,
And like,
it's extremely
oh
iterative.
crap, how are we going to deal with that? Oh, we'll deal with that when we have to deal with it.
Which
Let's move on to what's in front of us right now.
Which is totally not how NASA worked back in the day. Then I mean, they would,
so waterfall.
They were about the most waterfall you could get. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Triple redundancies and like a clear, like the most precise spec.
Yeah, no,
for everything.
Because like my favorite thing about in terms of being iterative is they still fit waterfall in. Like towards the end, when Gary Sinise, Kenneth Mattingly, the character he plays, has to go in the space thing, simulator, and he's working on getting together. The procedure for the landing, right? And they're like, where's the procedure for the landing? Where's the procedure for the landing? I mean, I've literally had clients like, where's the scope of work? Where's the scope of work? I want to see that. I want to sign it. And he has to, they run over there and he hands out copies of the, like,
yes.
not only are these guys hurtling towards Earth, but they took time to collate.
And 3-hole punch.
And yeah,
there's like a cover page.
Yeah, they start. The first thing he does is like starts handing it out to the other control room guys. Like, okay, here's the procedure, here's the scope. And then the rest of the whole movie is just Gary Sinise like directing them in.
He steps in as
right. But why did they need to print out all that stuff? Like, and did they print it back then, or did somebody type that up?
Or scribed it.
Do they had a copier?
Right?
I feel like they would have had a copier.
This was 1971, 72, right? 69 was 11.
Yeah, it was like
So
70,
it was
71.
So when I was watching it, I gave them a buy on the multiple copies of everything. The like because communication between. One thing I loved was when he was calling in for the go, no go.
Oh, yeah.
Like how many different people had to approve it. So how many people had like siloed obligations and points of focus. But for this like weird ass plan to throw in at the last second, everyone needed to know the plan.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have time to divvy it up and prep each
No.
of their sections. They all had to know the plan because they all had to like read the script on the go.
Do you think that the printing and the collating was a part of the estimate Gene Kranz didn't want to hear?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't want any more estimates. Just give me the procedure.
That was great. Yeah, when he just lost it.
Call over to the simulator and get an estimate.
God damn it! I don't want another estimate. I want the procedures. Now!
How many times can you say that about a project in our lives?
Yeah.
Right? Just like, why are we estimating again?
Yeah, exactly. I don't want an estimate. I want a date. Okay, so yeah, I agree. I think there's multiple projects in here, or at least like one sort of product launch that pivots hard, like in the middle of it. Okay, so if we were to pick somebody who is basically the project manager, the one who is keeping everything and tying everything together, here are my list of nominees. Okay, and you guys can step in, right? So I've got Gene Kranz, who's white vest. Control guy. Deke Slayton, who's the guy that's basically directing them. He's the flight director. He's the guy who picks who's going to be going on the trips. There's Swaggart, who is the guy that guides them in at the end. The guy that does the final thing. He's the guy that's he's doing a lot. Anyways, and then of course Kenneth Mattingly is another one, who's the Gary Sinise character. All right, so those are my list of nominees. I'm open to go around the room here and see what you guys think.
So this is one where I really struggled because I feel like, first of all, it changes with each project, right? I feel like the immediate answer is Gene, but at the same time, when things are going off plan, he's making owner-like decisions for the group. I feel like there's a conversation about product ownership and project manager here, and as we probably all know, there's a blurry line sometimes, but going back to even in the earlier parts of the movie where Jim Lovell is making decisions, he's the one who makes that resource change decision. It's his call, he says.
Yeah.
And he's the one who's getting them up there, or is he a team lead? I don't know. It's very difficult actually, for me to say who is one project manager, because I feel like it's